Okay, guys, today's a very important video, and it's about why you should always use a mortgage broker when you're a property investor. I'll say it again, you should always use a mortgage broker when you're a property investor. Now, some people, when they're investing in property, in the early days, they think that they're going to save money by going directly to their bank. And often you will. You'll save a couple of percent here and there, that's fine. However, how do you know if you're going to the right bank in the first place? Because actually, property investing is not about saving money. If you just try and save money, all you'll do is, delay the time when you run out of money, right? But what you need to do is make money. And anyone who's wealthy will tell you that you need to focus your attention on making money. So when it comes to property investing, how do you make money? Well, you make money by owning more property. That's how you make money. Now, if you have a mortgage broker, and a good one, and by the way, the good ones are hard to find. 9 out of 10 of them aren't that great. So if you need a good mortgage broker, get in touch and we'll introduce you to one. But a mortgage broker, the difference between a good and bad mortgage broker is that broker who's going to put you in the right banks at the right time so you can grow your portfolio. See, what happens is, on paper, the banks assess you differently to what your cash flow is in reality. So you might be fine doing it all yourself for your first and second property. But when you get to your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you hit what's called a servicing wall. Now, when the banks assess you, different banks have different criteria as to how much money you can afford to pay them back. That is known as your borrowing capacity. Some banks will add the rent that the new investment property is going to get. Some banks won't. Some banks will add a 1% loading to the interest rate. Some banks will add a 2% loading. Some banks will calculate it on interest only. Other banks will insist on calculating it at principal and interest. Some banks will only give you 75% of the rent. Some banks will give you more. Some banks will let you use your tax return as a form of income. Some banks won't. And a good mortgage broker knows all the rules for these different banks, where and when. And that is why having a mortgage broker is so important, because what's going to happen is you're going to hit this thing called the servicing wall, which is, on paper, the banks think you can't lend any money anymore, and they won't, even though you've got equity and you've got the cash flow in real life, no one will lend you the money and you can't get that extra property. And when the market moves, you've only got one horse in the race instead of two. So this is the most important thing, maximising the portfolio, and therefore you need a great broker to help you get the money to do so. Here's a quick question. Think about this. If there's two banks, one that'll lend you $2 million and one will lend you $500,000, who would you borrow the money off first? The correct answer is the $500,000 bank. Now, most people, 9 out of 10 people who ask that question, say the $2 million bank, but they are incorrect. Because if I go and borrow 500 grand from the $2 million bank, when I go back to the second bank, or the first one that'll only do 500, they won't lend me the money anymore because I've already borrowed that amount from someone else. So now my borrowing capacity with them is 0, and my borrowing capacity with the other bank is 1.5 million. See, what we need to, a good broker will know this, a good broker will put you with the most restrictive banks first, so the most generous banks will still be there for you on the third, fourth, fifth, sixth properties, and so on. Good mortgage broker. Look hard when you've got one, treat them well, make sure they're looking after you, you look after them, and your portfolio will grow. If you try and do it all yourself, what's going to happen is you're going to come to a grinding halt, and then you're going to need to find that broker, and he's going to have to come back in and refinance a whole lot anyway to get you out of trouble. It's going to be the biggest stuff around ever. Be smarter than that, get the people in to help you that are going to help you go forward. Cheers.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that. If you think someone else could benefit from that, make sure you share it with them. We'd really be grateful if you did that. And if you want to get into property investing, if you're serious about it, just send us a message. Let's have a strategy session. Let's go through it. We have clients all over Australia, in fact, all over the world. And we talk to our clients either in person or via Skype. Really easy to do. So don't hesitate, get in there. It's only $297 for a strategy session, and it's 100% guaranteed refundable if at the end of it you didn't feel it was worth your while. Cheers.